Hi, I'm Dave, TJN, the Jesus Network. It is time to change the planet, and it's Monday at 5 o'clock, and that means we are live once again at Rainbow West Christian Bookstore in Albany, Oregon. And I hope you had a good day. It's been a beautiful sunny day here in Albany, Oregon. In fact, it's sunny outside right now. And another thing I'm really excited about, if you've never read this book, Heaven is for Real, Todd Burpo, and it's about this little boy who died and went to heaven and met Jesus. And the book right now at Rainbow West Christian Bookstore in Albany, Oregon is only $5. $5. Can you zoom up on that? That is if you haven't read this book yet, it's amazing. This little boy talks about what it's like to meet Jesus and hasn't really been biblically schooled, obviously. He's only a small boy. But everything he says that he saw is backed up in the Bible. And it's an amazing read. It's I've known people who have shared this book with them. I was talking to a lady the other day who was talking with somebody who has a relative who is dying of cancer. And they're wondering if God is for real. And she left this book on their chair at work. And the question they're asking is, God for real? Because I need to know. My family member is dying. It's a mother. And she gave him this book, Heaven is for Real. I picked it up and read it, and still waiting to hear just what the outcome has been. But it's an amazing book. So, glad you're with us today. I'm Dave Adams, the Jesus Network. It's time to change the planet. Check out our website, thejesusnetwork.net. Something else we did the other night, which was also incredible, was an outreach in Independence, Oregon at Central High School. It was Pure Rebellion was the name of the event. And in an outreach that included rock music, light show, video clips, testimonies from people who have made kind of some bad choices in their life, but they talked to kids frankly about relationships and about sex. And it's probably one of the frankest discussions I've heard about this, but one of the reasons they do this is that society doesn't make any pretense when you see the sexual innuendos and advertising, and it's just out there for everybody to see. And so in this outreach, and there was about 600 kids that attended this from Central High School and here in the Mid-Willamette Valley. And the altar call afterwards, there was probably, I would say, at least a couple hundred kids that went forward. And you can check out our website, thejesusnetwork.net. We interviewed some of those kids, and you can hear their response to that. An amazing night. The outreach is called Pure Rebellion. You might want to check it out on the internet. We're going to be talking to these folks in the future and see if we can do some other things with them. This was not an event we were involved in, other than the fact we were there reporting it. But we'd sure like them to come back, and they have a tremendous message about relationships, how to say no, and why you want to say no. And other than the physical reasons like STDs or sexually transmitted diseases, they spent some time talking about the psychological and emotional damage that can be caused at a young age when you make those choices that are not good choices for you long term or even short term. Amazing outreach called Pure Rebellion. More about that in the future. But right now, today, we're going to be talking about Hand in Hand Farm. And we have 3 guests here in the studios today. And glad that you're with us today. We have Athena, Dave or David. Do you go by David?
Dave.
Dave. And Susan?
Yes.
Well, thank you for being with us today. So, Dave, Hand in Hand Farms, what is that all about?
We have a few acres, a garden, some mules and horses. And we help troubled kids and troubled families. The way we do it's a little different than many people.
Mm-hmm.
We have a core group of really top kids and really top families, and then we fold the problem kids into that.
Okay.
So rather than separating out Asperger's syndrome over here, Tourette's syndrome over there, ADHD, we say, no, you need to learn to join society.
Mm-hmm.
We'll teach you a work ethic. We'll teach you respect for God. We'll respect for each other. And you come in here, and when you earn it, you can have huge adventures. You can go in the mountains on a mule. You can ride behind the mules in a parade. You can help harvest the vegetables that you've planted, learn about nutrition, and learn about God.
So they get their hands dirty and they get to learn some good old-fashioned work ethics.
Yes. We also do classes for the parents so they learn how to deal with the problem kids, how to set up a framework within their family.
How long have you been doing this?
I started when I was in high school.
And that was like 2 years ago or so? Just kidding.
When I was a child in the 1960s.
Honestly, so 1960s?
Well, in the 1950s, when I was a little kid with leg braces, with asthma, and with the autism, I made an escape world, a fantasy world, where there was this great place with garden and mules and people, horses that we'd be able to have big adventures on.
Okay.
And there'd be this wonderful group of caring people that would help us. And they'd teach our parents how to love us. In high school, I realized I could start working for that.
Okay.
So part-time, while I was working as an engineer, working also as a horse trainer, I kept bringing kids along, families along, helping them change that way.
Great. So you've been doing this for several decades. How many kids now do you bring the whole family in? Let's say you have an at-risk family, and how does it work? Do you have them move onto the farm, or do they just come and visit and do chores, or how does that work?
They come and visit. Well, why don't you tell him this?
This is Susan.
Hi.
Hi.
What we usually do is take what the family can manage with their schedule, and ideally we get the kids coming out to the farm after school one day or on the weekend, and then the parents do a parenting class and then a separate session with us at the farm, usually with the whole family doing a session together, and then go attend a church on Sundays. And a lot of the time we will blackmail the parents into doing this by setting up behavior contracts. So we tell the parent, okay, name the top 3 behaviors you want your kid to change right now. And they write them down, and then we bring the kid in and say, all right, we'll make a bargain. Kid, you change these, and in exchange, mom's going to attend parenting class and go to church every Sunday. And as long as mom is doing her part, you have to not do these behaviors. And oftentimes, about 3 or 4 weeks into this, we get a phone call. Oh, it's horrible. They're being nasty again. What do? I put the kid on the phone. What's going on? Well, mom missed church on Sunday. Oh, well, I guess she broke the deal.
So what happens when mom breaks the deal? If this is an example, what happens?
The kids can go back to what they were doing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Deal's off.
See,
no deal.
It's totally unreasonable to tell someone you have to do all the changing and I don't, especially in a family. Mom and dad have to show the kid how to change by doing some themselves.
Okay.
We teach a 10 to 1 to 10 rule. For every one thing the parents want the kid to change, they have to change 10. And that'll affect 10 other things within the child's life that they didn't plan on.
So for every thing or every item the child changes, the parent has to change 10?
Usually.
Wow.
And then we have classes that teach them how.
Is that fair?
That's life.
Okay.
Now, we teach the kids the 2 magic words of life.
Which are?
Deal with it.
Whoa. Okay.
And everybody always says, that's 3 words. We say, then deal with it and get back to work.
That's how we do it at the farm. So this is kind of a tough love thing. Kind of.
Well, in my engineering
Deal
job,
with it.
I was hiring and having to let go many, many people who would not work according to the rules.
Right.
And we want to put out the employable grandparents for the churches 50 years from now. So these kids need to get an idea of how to do a job, follow its flow, complete it, and get the reward for it.
And get along with other people.
Yes, and get along with other people while they do it. So we bring in older people from retirement homes, older people from the community, and they teach the kids how to work.
Well, I've got a number of questions. First of all, how do families or at-risk youth get plugged in? Do they come through the court system?
Oh, it's never a problem to find the kids.
Okay, but
Every time we
how
go
do you
out-
guys connect?
Every time we go out to try to raise money, which we really need for the farm, every time we try to raise money, people come up with 4, 5, 6 kids that need help. We have more kids than we can serve right now because we don't have the funds and the staff. That's the limitation.
That was my next question. How do you raise money? Fundraisers? Do you sell produce from the farm, or how are you funded? Donations?
Mainly individual donations, and we have several churches that sponsor us as a local mission with a monthly donation. We also have corporate sponsorships available. Let's see.
What's the website?
Go to our website at www.handinhandfarm.org, and there is a page about ways you can help, including a handy Donate Now button.
That's a pretty handy button, too. They'd really like for you to push that button. Where are you located?
We're located just outside of Lacombe, and that's about 20 minutes east of Albany.
Now, this is a lot of work, and you don't have to do this. You could just be running your farm and not have to deal with the headache and the heartache of dealing with these, which sometimes are probably not real friendly to deal with, especially if you have some of the real problem kids. Why do you do this?
If you have to ask why, I probably couldn't say it in words you'd understand.
Okay, try me. You want to help the community, and you want to help improve people's lives, and that's what I'm hearing.
I've known what it's like to be a kid with a leg brace, with the inability to say the words that people can understand. I know what it's like not to be able to communicate with people. And when I can help somebody with that problem, then I feel like I'm filling what God wants me to do this part of my life.
And this is your wife?
Yes.
This is my wife.
And your daughter?
No.
Okay, just
Miss Susan started with us when she was in 7th grade.
Well, maybe I can tell them a little bit
Sure.
about that and answer his last question.
Okay, go ahead.
So
This is Susan.
Yes. So the reason I do this, I didn't know these people at all when I started. I have loved horses my whole life, and when I was in elementary school, middle school, I was always wanting to find a way to use horses to help people. And I volunteered with a lot of different programs and found some that were, kind of nice, but didn't really do much for people long term. It was like, come out, have a fun pony ride, and then go home the same way that you were when you got here. And when I found Dave and what he was doing, this was actually at an older facility in Dallas that I met him, seeing how we worked with the whole family to change the environment that the kids being raised in, and really got to the heart and soul of what the problems in their lives were. That changed people in ways that lasted and kept going even after they quit coming. So it wasn't like they needed us to fix their lives all the time. And I still remember one day in 8th grade when we took some miniature horses to work with some kids at the deaf school, and we had a couple of girls that went with us that had had some pretty serious problems at home and at school when we'd met them, and just watching how they could learn to put their problems down and instead learn to use the horses to help other people, and seeing how that changed them and how that changed the handicapped people we were helping, I really felt God's calling for me to do this. And I told that to Dave after I prayed about it for quite a while, and for some silly reason he actually said that he would help me do that. And so that's when we started kind of shifting gears away from part-time to build a full-time program.
That's great. One of the things that I've often, just in my personal prayer time and just thinking about things, just especially as looking and just thinking about the Pure Rebellion event, where the event started. There was Ozzie and Harriet and Father Knows Best in kind of a black and white newsreel, and that's kind of like how families used to be, you know, Father Knew Best and so on and so forth. And they went from that to rock music and people on the streets in New York shooting up drugs, just to demonstrate how much culture has changed. And I think one of the key components to save, literally save this country, and I'm not trying to be overly dramatic here, but I think it's key. One of the things that we need to do to get back on track is fix the family. And we need to restore those familial or family relationships. If the family is solid, I think the country is going to be solid. And, you know, God bless you for doing this, because I think it's extremely needed right now.
Thank you.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Fixing the family is really, I love your cowboy hat, by the way.
And we find this is a really great tool for ministry, that we, with this program, are able to reach a lot of people that don't often end up in church. In fact, a lot of the people that, when they first come to us, they're thinking behavior problems, and, you know, they'll list, oh, my kid has, you know, PTSD and ADHD and OCD and all this stuff, and you know, oh, they have a behavior problem we need to address. And what they don't realize is that the majority of the problem is usually what we call SBS and LOG. Do you know what those are?
I'm afraid to ask. What are they?
Spoiled brat syndrome and
Okay.
lack of God.
Oh, I like that.
See, a lot of these kids are being raised in broken homes.
Yes.
And if you take them into a church service where they talk about how God is your heavenly Father and He loves you, if you have a 14-year-old girl who's been raped by 15 different men her mom dated, but she's never met her actual father, that means something really different to her than it means to me.
Oh, yeah.
And it takes a lot of just getting down in the dirt with her and showing her what love is supposed to look like, so that they can start understanding the gospel message.
Yeah, key to rebuilding the family, because you're absolutely right. A lot of, one of the things that they've taught us, and as we witness to people and we share them about a father's love, we have to remember that when they say, sometimes in certain situations, when we say the name a man or your father, what flashes in their mind is not a good image. And you have to redefine father to them before they can really get the gospel message.
Exactly.
Yes. And so we find, like with a girl that's been sexually abused, many times the mules, the horses are just too much. So they end up with a garden program. Plants don't tend to make a lot of noise.
Right?
They don't move around very much.
Not usually.
And
Unless the wind's blowing.
they tend to, you know, pretty much stay where you leave them. That's a pretty good thing for the kids that have been physically and sexually abused. So they may start there. And in general, we help the people start losing weight, getting on a healthy diet. And it's amazing how much of the medication is no longer necessary when their diet straightens out.
Oh, yes.
Well, that's the part that my wife plays in this. And then she's back up to the horse program. And then we use the horses and the mules. And we also have a program for youngsters that aren't interested in the horses or mules, but they want to learn, like rebuilding an old tractor or a farm wagon. Some of the kids, they're finishing up a barn loft right now and soon to start on building some kickboards into the barn. So they have real-life projects they can work on. It isn't like they're coming out and building, birdhouses or a boat that is powered by rubber bands.
Yeah.
It's real projects.
Real projects on a real farm. There was somebody I was talking to the other day, and they love to work in the garden, and she said, I just have to go out and get my dirt vitamins.
Yes.
And that's kind of, there's something about getting back to the dirt and working the soil, and I know you know what I'm talking about because you grew up on a farm. And when I was growing up, I spent a lot of my summers bucking hay and working in the farm and going out and playing with the two black labs. And a lot of great memories of the farm. There's just something about farm life that just brings it home.
Well, it also gives a framework for the families to work together because many times you're talking about parents who literally don't know how to get out and mow their own lawn.
Yeah.
They don't know how to weed their own garden. And so it's brand new skills for some of the adults.
Do you have any idea how many families, how many people have gone through your program in the
I can show you a
decades?
guy that's in his 50s now that went through when he was 14, and he's been raising foster kids ever since.
That's got to make you feel good.
Well, that's why we're in that. So we do track the people that come out now, since we formally incorporated as a
Right.
full-time business.
As
Probably.
you have 501c3 designation, so as
Yes.
people donate to you, they can take it off their taxes.
Yes.
Okay.
We've probably helped about 300, 400 families since we started tracking this in the last 4 years.
Wow. Now, honestly, you two are relatively young, so you started this out really young, didn't you? I'm not asking you to give your ages, but I'm leading up to another question here. How you going to keep doing this for another decade or two?
Well, that is what we're bringing on Miss Susan to succeed us.
The next generation.
Yes, and she actually has apprentices that she's training that are younger than she is, so high school age. So we have a plan to perpetuate this beyond ourselves.
That is amazing, and I think a lot of ministries could learn from that. You get something like this that is definitely doing some amazing things to put families back together again. And sometimes what happens is the person putting on, either the man or woman that is putting on the ministry tends to revolve around them. And when they go away, the ministry stops because it's driven around a personality. And I just love to see the fact that you are actually raising up someone else that you can just hand the baton to and say, here's the next generation.
Well, it's been something to see an 8th grade girl that I promised I will make this a program you can take over. And to see her now working on her master's degree in counseling at Western Seminary. And she's a board member. She is our chief instructor for the horse program for the kids. So I believe in just a short time she'll be able to take over whenever it's needed.
Let's talk about horses. Horses are often used for therapy, aren't they? There's something about the horse that, what is it? You worked with horses a lot more than I have. What is it about the horse that just really kind of speaks to people?
Well, I find a lot of what makes them work so well for us to change people is that the horse, to start with, doesn't buy into all of the sort of social walls that people put up. And a lot of these kids that, have come from rough backgrounds or have all these issues, they think that they're going to come in and the horse doesn't believe a word they say. And the horse doesn't care what clothes they're wearing. The horse only cares about what kind of person they are. And so they can come in and try to fool everyone around them about their life, but the horse sees who they are inside and if they're trustworthy or not. And they don't very often buy into any of our lies, so it works really well to get to people.
It's a big equalizer.
Okay, now we are not a therapy program where you have somebody leading a horse and somebody on each side holding a kid in place.
Okay.
We have gentle horses that they can begin with, but then we're also bringing in horses from the brush. Last August, we brought in an 11-year-old mare that had never had a rope on her and never been in a barn before. And as the kids learn to ride, they can help train that kind of animal. You see our kids up behind draft mules in parades. You see them in the mountains. You see them helping. Right now we've got, 2 Appaloosa fillies that they're helping gentle and get ready to send down the road. They help with birthing. We try to have a pregnant mare or two every other year or so. They're learning to drive these animals, and when they're through at the farm, they can go get work part-time while they're going through college, and they can use their horsemanship skills to get that. They're employable at other horse outfits when we're through.
Amen. Praise God. Thank you for doing this. This is an amazing program. What's your website one more time?
It's www.handinhandfarm.org.
And if somebody's watching this or listening to the audio on TJN radio later on, how do they get in touch with you? Just go to your website?
They go to the website, pastors refer them, teachers refer them, counselors refer them.
Should we give them a phone number too?
Okay.
Sure, if you're open to that.
Give them a phone number too.
Okay. Our phone number is 541-451-1243.
Okay, one more time.
541-451-1243.
Susan?
And we really like it when people come and get a tour of the place and see what we do a little bit. I think it gives people a nice picture of what goes on. We just like it when people call us and make appointments. Sometimes the kids that we're working with at the time or the horses we're working with at the time, not real safe for people to just drop in. So we do like appointments, but you can call us or go on the website and there's a contact form on there.
Our next parenting class series starts the week after Easter at the Thornton Lake Church, 6 o'clock Sunday nights.
In Albany.
In Albany.
Okay. Dave,
Athena,
and Susan, thank you for being with us on TJN TV here at Rainbow West Christian Bookstore in Albany. Love what you're doing with Hand in Hand Farm, and God bless you, and just really excited about seeing it going into the next generation. And be nice if this could be one of those century farms where 100 years from now we're still, if God doesn't come, Jesus doesn't come back by then, which was the way things are going, he might. But if he doesn't, then it's nice to see you're going to be rebuilding families, just like your logo says, helping rebuild families. That's what you do. God love you for that. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. We'd like to have you back on the show again in the future. We'll talk about this again. All right. Hey, Heaven is for Real. The Todd Burpo book, $5 a copy. If you have not read this book, or if you're in a situation, and we've talked to a lot of... Oh, hold it up. Okay. Hold it up here. If you're in a situation where maybe you've got bad news from the doctor, maybe a relative of yours, and we've run into a lot of those lately, the big C, cancer, and that scares a lot of people, and then it starts with them asking, is God for real? Is heaven for real? Where am I going to go when I die? This is an amazing book, and just read it, and then you decide. This is a little kid, just a little kid. And there's the one thing about kids is they're pretty honest, especially this age. They just call it like they see it. And Mom and Dad, this is what I saw. And the amazing thing about this story is everything this kid says he saw lines up with the Bible, even though he hasn't read it yet. He actually chose the title of the book, Heaven is for Real. Mom and Dad, I've seen Jesus. Heaven is for real. It'll change your life. $5 a copy here at Rainbow West Christian Books in Albany, Oregon. Connie, thank you very much for allowing us to come here every Monday night. And if you have a testimony you'd like to share with us, just come on in. We have, we'll find a chair for you to sit in and hear your testimony. Or you can give me an email at dave@thejesusnetwork.net, dave@thejesusnetwork.net. God bless you. God bless you guys at Hand in Hand Farm. And thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
I'm Dave Adams, TJN, the Jesus Network, all together, all of us in the body of Christ, working to change this planet through the love and the compassion of Jesus Christ. Be blessed. Have a good night.